Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Angie, and in this video I'm going to be making some trash to treasure Christmas projects. For the first project, I'm starting by giving a cookie tin a coat of black paint. I use the black as a primer coat because it covers the images on the can well with a single coat. I can then spray one coat of the final color choice, which for this one was white. Next, I printed out an image onto a piece of water slide decal paper. With this particular paper, you need to spray a clear sealer over the image 3 times before you apply it to your project. I do think they now have some that don't require this step. I put the image into warm water to release it from the backing paper and then applied it to the front of the can. Next, I glued 2 styrofoam balls together and then covered it with some leftover paper mache. For the face, I just gave him some cheeks using the paper mache, and I'll use something else for the eyes and nose. Once the paper mache was dry, I gave it a coat of paint. I then gathered some sticks from my yard and cut them down for the nose and arms. I also gave the nose a coat of orange paint. Next, I painted the cheeks pink, and when that was dry, I gave the entire thing a coat of antiquing wax, including the can. I then poked a hole in the face and glued in the nose. I also did the same for the arms. To make the eyes and mouth, I just glued on peppercorns. Next, I glued on a plastic snowflake ornament to the top of the can and then covered the glue with some snow tex. I then glued on some greenery and the snowman, also adding the snow tex to cover any of the hot glue that was showing. I added a piece of scrap fabric for the scarf and a small felt hat. Next, I added a small candy cane and a rusty bell to his hand. To finish it, I added some more snow tex around the base of the snowman. Every time I went to the antique malls, I would look for one of these cans and I could never find one. I was so glad that I could at least find a label to download to make my own. The next project is a request from my daughter. She had this apple juice bottle she wanted me to make into a snowman. So to start, I used more of the leftover paper mache and covered a styrofoam ball. I used more of the paper mache to make the nose and cheeks. I decided to just use the rest of the paper mache to make the hat, so I just made a circle and then added a log shape to the top. I used glue and a toothpick to attach the hat together and then onto the head. Next, I printed out another picture onto the water slide paper and attached it to the front of the bottle. I then added some baking soda into my paint to give it some texture and painted the bottle around the image. When the paint was dry, I added some paper mache arms. Once everything was dry, I gave it a coat of paint. I just used a paint marker to make the eyes and mouth. Next, I covered it with watered down white glue and then sprinkled it with glitter. I'm going to add some fairy lights inside. I wish I had some remote controlled ones to use, but all I have is the wine bottle ones. To make it easier to turn them on, I added a piece of wire to the inside of the lid so I could attach the power pack to it and easily lift it out. I then decorated the hat and added glitter to the head. Next, I glued the head to the lid. To finish it, I glued a piece of scrap fabric to the lid as well for the scarf. For the last project, I'm using some Dollar Tree metal trays. I started by giving the center of them a coat of white paint. I could have just painted the back of the paper. You do whatever method you like best. I then decoupaged the Santa images to the trays. Next, I used some Christmas molds and air dry clay and added some embellishments around the images. Once the clay was dry, I gave it a coat of paint. Next, I applied a clear sealer over the images. I then used gold rub and buff to highlight the clay and the edges of the tray. To finish it, I applied antiquing wax over the image. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed these projects, and I'll see you in the next video.